Ava Sterling? Nah man, I'm just messing around with her. You think I'd actually marry that? My crew would laugh me out of the room. I stood frozen just outside the smoky private room, the words hitting me like physical blows. That was Vincent Rossi, the man I loved, the man I'd sacrificed everything for, casually tearing me down. He was lounging back, another woman draped over his lap, holding court with his friends, regaling them with tales of my supposed worthlessness. How dirty I was, he laughed. Dirty? He wasn't entirely wrong. I'd flown halfway across the world, Seattle to Hong Kong, then rushed back here, all to surprise him for his birthday. 1,000 miles just to stand here and listen to this. Yes, I had sold a part of myself for money once. His money. His debt, actually. 18 million swallowed by loan sharks who weren't known for their patience. They'd had him strung up, literally, threatening dismemberment if the payment wasn't immediate. No cash? Fine. We'll take an arm and a leg instead. If Julian Croft, the arrogant president of Blue Ocean Properties, hadn't taken a particular predatory interest in me back then, if he hadn't been willing to offer a bridge loan in exchange for compliance, Vincent wouldn't have walked away whole. God knows I have my pride. Who would willingly choose such degradation? But we were drowning. Over the years, I turned a blind eye to Vincent's indiscretions. The string of pretty young things flitting in and out. Business is business, pleasure is pleasure, I told myself. He knew the boundaries. He wouldn't cross the important lines. Tonight, though, I learned the truth. In his eyes, I was the disposable one, the messing around girl, the placeholder. Good to know. My hand trembled slightly as I lit a cigarette, the tiny flame dancing before my eyes like a firefly. It sparked a memory long ago. Back in the marshlands of our childhood village, Vincent had caught a firefly, placing its gentle glow on my ring finger. Heard city folk have those fancy rings that glow in the dark, he'd whispered, his voice full of youthful earnestness. Bet they ain't as pretty as our fireflies. A pause then. Ava, when you grow up, will you marry me? Well, I grew up. Became one of those city folk I used to envy. And I finally understood. Memories fade. Fireflies die. And people drift apart until they're nothing but strangers sharing a past. Julian Croft was everything society deemed successful. President of Blue Ocean Properties. Heir to a corporate fortune seemingly infinite. Spoiled, ruthless, entitled. From the moment he first saw me, his eyes held that specific kind of contemptuous desire some powerful men reserve for women they assume can be bought. Perhaps it was his sheltered upbringing, his inherent belief that any woman with a modicum of success must have slept her way there. At the time, I owned a small paper mill, financed by Vincent's initial business ventures. And yes, I was Vincent's woman. Julian, doing business with Vincent, had the audacity, fueled by entitlement or sheer stupidity, to ask Vincent for me right there during a negotiation, as if ordering off a menu. Vincent, predictably, knocked out 2 of Julian's front teeth on the spot. This deal is dead, Vincent had roared. But life has a cruel sense of irony. Later, when Vincent's empire crumbled, when the funding dried up and the loan sharks circled like vultures, Julian saw his chance for revenge. Vincent was cornered, desperate, like a rat trapped in a sewer. I swallowed my pride, begged everyone I knew, knocked on every door, only to be met with silence or pitying refusals. Julian dangled the bailout money like bait. Spend the night with me, Ava. Don't dawdle. Your man's about to lose a leg. I had no other cards to play. Julian unleashed all his pent-up resentment from the broken teeth onto me that night. It was brutal, humiliating. Afterwards, utterly spent, he slapped me twice across the face. Hard. Smirked. Said if I weren't a woman, he'd have knocked my teeth out in return. He threw a wad of cash onto the crumpled sheets beside me, pulled up his pants and left. I just sat there numb for 2 hours. Eventually, my hands shaking uncontrollably, I dressed, piece by painstaking piece. Then I called Vincent. Vince, I choked out. Do you still want me? His voice was thick, hoarse. Ava, what are you saying? Don't think crazy things. We've been through so much storms. This is just a setback. We have a long life ahead of us. How can you? His voice broke, dissolving into a ragged sob. Okay, I whispered. I understand. Honestly, if he'd told me the truth then, that he couldn't stand the thought of me, that he was disgusted, that he didn't want me anymore. If he just screamed at me, cursed me, I probably would have walked straight to the window and jumped. Ended it right there. None of the subsequent mess would have happened. I retreated across the street from the club, dialing his number. He picked up casually. Hey baby, where you at? How's things? Fine, I said, my voice flat. I raised a hand slightly. I'm across the street. I was right behind you just now. His face changed instantly. He started to rise, moving towards the door, but his buddies grabbed him, pulling him back, pressing another drink into his hand. I'll talk to you when I get back, he stammered into the phone. No need. A pause. Happy birthday, Vincent. I hung up. The wind whipped around me as I walked home alone. The streetlights cast long, lonely shadows, their yellow glow looking weak, almost pathetic. I called movers the next day, packed the essentials, throw out the rest. The apartment slowly emptied, returning to the starkness it held when I first arrived. I'd followed Vincent out of that dusty village, stumbling through life together. We'd faced hardships, celebrated small victories, always fueled by a fierce determination. I wouldn't end up like the other women back home, trapped, abused, worn down by endless childbirth until their bodies gave out. I wanted to live like a person, build something with my own two hands, see what I was capable of. A shame, really. I knew Vincent hadn't been entirely faithful. The pretty college girls, the whispers. I wasn't blind. I'd rationalized it, told myself the incident with Julian had wounded his pride deeply, that he needed an outlet, a way to feel powerful again. So I never confronted him. I never imagined that after 15 years together, all I amounted to in his eyes was a single dismissive word. Dirty. Leaning against the doorframe of the now empty apartment, I slowly finished my last cigarette, grinding the butt under my heel with deliberate force. Tried to organize my thoughts, pinpoint the exact moment things fractured beyond repair. But it was all a blur. With a sigh, I waved the movers on. Time to go. Vincent called over 200 times. I didn't answer. Hundreds of messages followed, variations on the same theme. Where are you? What's going on? You're just trying to make me mad, right? Come home. Stop this nonsense. Not a single apology. A month later, he showed up at my company building. I had security turn him away. That night, a final message. Ava, you're serious about this, aren't you? I sat at my desk, chain smoking, fiddling restlessly with a pen, the rhythmic click echoing in the quiet office. I was surprised by my own coldness. Where had the fragile girl gone? The one who was always obedient, who studied hard, dreaming of high school, only to have her spot stolen by her twin brother because girls just get married anyway. Their husbands will provide, education's wasted on them. No point dwelling on the injustice. That was the reality for every girl in our village. So I helped my parents run the tiny village store instead. I envied Vincent and his friends heading off to the county high school, crisp uniforms, bright faces, full of promise. When Vince came into the store for chips, I always saved his favorite flavor. I'd pretend to be busy stocking shelves, just listening to their easy laughter, their talk of a world beyond my grasp, stealing glances whenever I could. Vince wrote me letters from school, filled with stories, observations. He seemed so capable, so worldly. I felt small, inadequate in comparison. I was his shadow, his adoring little follower. He could make me cry 1,000 times, but one word, one smile, just him saying Ava, and I'd have walked through fire for him, clung to his neck, whispered I love you over and over. But something shattered that night outside the club. Irrevocably. Love, it turns out, really can just disappear. Mia-Lin called, wanting to meet. The girl from Vincent's lap. I refused. She had no standing to demand my time. She cornered me in the employee cafeteria instead. Young, pretty, clutching my sleeve, eyes red-rimmed, threatening a scene if I didn't talk to her. Reluctantly, I led her to my office. Ava. Miss Sterling. Vincent really cares about you, she began, nervously accepting the tea I poured. He's been miserable lately. You wouldn't believe how much weight he's lost. Her crescent moon eyes filled with tears again. She bit her lip. If it makes Vincent happy, I can step aside. She cried beautifully, the picture of heartbroken innocence. If he's doing so poorly, I replied coolly, shouldn't you be the one comforting him? She froze, startled. Mia, I continued, my voice level, your man is hurting and you come asking me to soothe him? That's not how it works. That's your responsibility. Trying to guilt-trip me is inappropriate. Her eyes reddened further. But your history all those years. My gaze hardened. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Please. she whispered. I'm begging you. Fine. I stood up abruptly. Get on your knees. Kowtow 3 times. Her face flushed crimson then drained pale. She stared utterly bewildered. I leaned down, my thumb pressing lightly against the corner of her trembling lips. Little girl, in this world you want something, you pay for it. Begging requires humility. Not everyone is Vincent Rossi, ready to give you the world just because you pout prettily. This was the 3rd time she'd looked utterly stunned. She couldn't comprehend it. 18 years old, a round face, wide innocent eyes like a rabbit's. Claimed poverty but spoke with calculated sweetness, tilting her head just so, revealing the smooth white column of her neck. A picture of vulnerability. While using the La Mer moisturizer Vincent bought her. Perhaps this was the purity Vincent found so appealing. When I was 18, scraping together our first business funds with Vincent, I secretly stretched a single pack of instant noodles over 3 days. Not once did I consider the propositions from older, wealthy men who showed interest. The thought never even crossed my mind. Poverty? In my village, girls weren't even guaranteed a high school education. But I refused to build my life on pity or manipulation. Untangling my finances from Vincent's was complex. It required legal expertise. I called my counsel Elias Thorne. He dropped everything, appearing in my office within 20 minutes. Elias was striking young, only 27, impeccably dressed, the epitome of a successful corporate lawyer. He worked for Thorne & Associates, the city's most prestigious firm, already having handled several high-profile cases. Talented, driven, and undeniably attractive. I made no secret of my admiration for his capabilities. We'd met during my absolute lowest point. Just after Vincent's first bankruptcy. We were pariahs dodging creditors like rats. Angry investors picketed our defunct factory daily, carrying funeral wreaths, chanting for Vincent's blood. One sweltering afternoon, Vincent, ever the pragmatist, climbed out a back window. You go talk to them, Ava, he'd urged. You're a woman. They won't hurt you. Maybe he was right. Elias, newly assigned by the government as a bankruptcy administrator to oversee our case, offered to accompany me. I have official backing, he'd said calmly. They have to listen to reason, trust the process. Okay. Thanks, I'd replied, grateful for the unexpected support. I never anticipated the chaos that followed. Among the desperate creditors was a man whose wife had died after a work-related injury at our factory went unpaid. His daughter needed tuition money. Driven to the brink, he suddenly lunged, brandishing a bottle of concentrated acid, aiming straight for my face. Elias reacted instantly, shoving me aside. Most of the acid missed, but a splash caught the back of his hand, sizzling, eating through skin, leaving a permanent scar the size of an old coin. The violence shocked the crowd into disarray. The immediate crisis diffused. Later, overwhelmed with guilt, I stammered apologies to Elias. I want to compensate you. But you know my situation. I can't even cover your medical bills right now. It's nothing. He'd waved it off, his usual composure intact. Then, seeing my continued distress, he hesitated. Ava, Miss Sterling, if you truly feel indebted, perhaps you could help me with something. That man, the one with the acid. Could you help sponsor his daughter's education? I'll provide the funds discreetly. It wouldn't look right, me directly funding a young female student. Through you, she could accept it more easily. Life is hard. People don't resort to such measures unless they're desperate. Not everyone starts with the advantages I've had. I stared at him, stunned. He quickly tucked his bandaged hand out of sight, a faint blush creeping up his neck. Survival first, charity later, right? I'm still young, maybe naive. Haven't been beaten down by the world enough yet. Still believe in things. You don't think I'm foolish, do you, Ava? His vulnerability, his quiet integrity. It struck a chord deep within me. No, I whispered, looking down. Not foolish at all. His words sparked something. Later, when the paper industry was rife with illegal dumping and environmental negligence, our company became the outlier. We invested millions in wastewater treatment, adhered strictly to regulations, filed regular reports. That decision was mine. Final. Elias's prompt arrival today still surprised me. I poured him tea. I thought you had court this afternoon. This asset division, it's minor stuff. You could have sent an associate. Your coming personally is flattering. I was worried about you, he stated simply. Worried. I chuckled, waving a dismissive hand. Please. It's strange, isn't it? How things change. I grew up following Vince around. For years, I thought if anything happened to him, I'd die. If he left me, my world would end. Then, life happened. Got knocked down, got back up. Failed, succeeded, lost everything, started over. You get weathered. Tempered. Call it resilience or maybe just numb. Like that writer said. I refilled his cup. Like an ox hit with a hammer. Just numb. Another relationship ending? Honestly, Elias, in the grand scheme of failures in my short life, it barely registers. He watched me, a flicker of something unreadable pain, entering his eyes. Ava, he said softly, you rarely talk this much. Especially not evasively. He leaned forward slightly. Stop lying to yourself. His words, quiet but direct, pierced through my carefully constructed facade. A delayed ache spread through my chest. I turned towards the window, pretending to admire the view, as tears suddenly, unexpectedly blurred my vision. I blinked them back fiercely. Business is business. No room for messy emotions. It had been a while since I'd seen Elias properly. After discussing the legal details, I walked him downstairs and ran straight into Vincent. His eyes landed on Elias, then snapped back to me. A bitter, humorless smile twisted his lips. Seamless transition, Ava. Got any shame left? Do I need shame? I countered, my voice dangerously quiet. After you called me dirty? What answer are you hoping for, Vincent? He looked down, shuffling his feet. That was just talk. Bar talk. Suddenly, the back and forth felt exhausting. Vince, I sighed, looking around the sterile lobby. Let's just stop. Please. After all these years, can we at least end this with some dignity? He started to say something else, but irritation flared. My eyes fell on Elias, standing silently beside me. On pure impulse, I grabbed the knot of Elias's tie, pulled him down and kissed him hard on the mouth. Elias didn't resist. When I pulled back, Vincent's face had crumpled. The color drained away, leaving a grayish pallor. The light in his eyes vanished, replaced by a raw, consuming rage. His fist flew towards Elias. Without thinking, I stepped between them. Elias was innocent in this. The blow landed squarely in my stomach. Heavy. It knocked the wind out of me, sent me stumbling back, landing hard on the floor. It took me a moment to catch my breath, to push myself up. Vincent rushed forward, reaching for me. Hurts, doesn't it? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. What? Seeing me with someone else? Finally hurts, does it? I looked up at him, the sting behind my eyes returning. All those years, all those other women you found, did you ever once stop to think if I was hurting? He shifted uncomfortably. You knew. I knew everything. Ava, that was just playing, I finished for him, enunciating each syllable. Weariness washed over me. I met his eyes, my own finally filling with tears I couldn't hold back. Vince, I pleaded softly, let it go. Let me go. It felt like a scene repeating itself. Years ago, rain pouring down, him holding an umbrella slightly tilted towards me, me crouching on the muddy ground, clutching the hem of his shirt, begging him. Vince, take me with you. Please. I can't live like this anymore. Okay, he'd said then. Now time folded in on itself. We stood facing each other, ghosts of our younger selves reflected in our weary eyes. He was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Okay, he echoed. My twin brother, the one who took my name, my high school spot, managed to scrape into a third-rate university. There, he immediately found a city girlfriend. Not conventionally attractive, short, overweight, but her family had money. Looking back, she wasn't malicious, just spoiled, insecure. She disliked me instantly. Jealous of my looks, my brother, naturally, was devastatingly handsome. Think a young, rugged movie star. Honestly, if our family hadn't been dirt poor, my brother wouldn't have looked twice at her. She knew it too, which likely fueled her need to constantly demean me, my family. She'd buy him expensive sneakers, headphones, clothes, things we could never afford. Then she'd toss her cast-off clothes at me. Cheap synthetics that never fit right. Fine. Saved my parents money. But when she started doing the same to my mother, handing over worn-out garments with a contemptuous sneer. Here. Consider it a donation to the poor. Beggars can't be choosers. Something snapped. I slapped her. Hard. She ran off crying. My brother, terrified of losing his meal ticket, turned on our family, borrowed money to appease her, then dragged me to her doorstep, demanding apology after apology. I couldn't take it. My mother sighed, resigned. With our situation, your brother's lucky to find anyone willing to marry him. But I couldn't accept it. Call it pride, arrogance, whatever. We were all human, weren't we? One nose, two eyes. Why should my life be dictated by such degrading compromises? Then my father got sick. Died. Lost income, mounting debts. Life became bleaker. Vincent, who hadn't made it to university, was working odd jobs in the city. He came back for the funeral. Found me huddled in the rain, offered me the shelter of his umbrella. I looked up at him, desperation clawing at my throat. Take me with you, Vince. Get me out of here. I'll do anything. I can't live like this. He'd suddenly pressed me against the wet wall and kissed me. It was startling but not unpleasant. In my young mind, Vincent and I were always meant to be together. Forever. I trailed after him like a hopeful puppy. Vince? Does this mean yes? You'll take me? He'd turned, ruffled my hair and smiled. That smile. It felt like the rain stopped, the sun broke through. The hardest part of life is looking back at your own helplessness. Sometimes I dream of my father. A simple farmer, quiet, perpetually apologetic, his hands cracked and stained with the earth. His illness wasn't serious, not initially. But in the village, you didn't go to doctors unless you were dying. You endured. Feared the cost. So he endured until it was too late. Gone. A few $1,000s. That's all it would have cost to save him. A sum I now spend on a single nice dinner without a second thought. My mother widowed young. My brother and I, effectively orphaned. If I'd stayed, I'd have become another village wife, another statistic, my world confined to gossip and chores. But I left. I saw the bigger world. And looking back, the phrase gone before you could repay their kindness cuts deep. Time waits for no one. After the bankruptcy crisis passed, and our fortunes eventually turned, Julian Croft remained a persistent thorn in my side. As our business grew, expanding into real estate, our paths inevitably crossed more frequently. He never missed an opportunity for a lewd comment or inappropriate joke, often in professional settings, clearly designed to unsettle me, remind me of our past. During one negotiation while I was making a point, he interrupted, peeled a banana with deliberate slowness, licked it suggestively from bottom to top, took a bite and then smirked at me. Taste good. Vulgar. Disgusting. If it was just me I could ignore it. But his behavior often made colleagues deeply uncomfortable. Finally fed up, I went over his head, complaining directly to his father about his unprofessional conduct. His father, furious, temporarily stripped him of his title and confined him to the family home. Julian stormed into my office later, screaming obscenities. Who the fuck do you think you are, Ava? Acting so high and mighty. You were begging for it back then. Don't think I won't tell everyone. There'll come a time you need me again. I calmly called security, then the police. His father arrived, slapped him across the face in front of me, offered profuse apologies. I accepted coolly, but the disgust lingered. Some spoiled brats never learn. He didn't dare confront me directly after that, but the rumors he spread intensified. I didn't care what others thought, but I knew the truth. The clothes I'd been forced to shed could never truly be put back on. The incident with Julian left deeper scars than I admitted. I had a private bathroom installed in my office. Started showering 4 times a day. Obsessively. Read countless psychology books. Exposure therapy, cognitive reframing. Trying to scrub away the phantom feeling of his touch. Limited success. Leaving Vincent that day, Elias insisted on driving me to get checked out, fussing over the blow to my stomach, asking repeatedly if I was hurt. I managed a weak smile. Please. I'm not made of glass. He apologized again, his ears turning slightly red. Struck me as odd. I was the one who owed him an apology. Kissing him like that, without warning, using him as a prop in my drama with Vincent. It was impulsive, childish. Embarrassing in hindsight. Sorry, I mumbled after a long silence. Always seem to drag you into my messes. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. He stared straight ahead, his jaw working slightly. I noticed the faint pale scar on the back of his hand, the reminder of the acid attack, and felt a fresh wave of shame. I never even properly repaid him for that. Awkwardness hung heavy in the air. Rummaging in my bag, my fingers closed around a small heavy box. The birthday gift I brought back from Seattle for Vincent. A Rolex. The green submariner he'd admired years ago on some flashy businessman back when we had nothing. One day, Ava, I'd sworn to myself then, when we make it, I'll buy you that watch. My man won't have to envy anyone. Well, I could finally afford it. But the recipient had changed. Impulsively, I took it out, thrusting it towards Elias. Here. For the trouble. An apology. He glanced at the box, then at me, a strange look in his eyes. Then he burst out laughing. What's this, Ava? Feel like you took advantage and now you're trying to pay me off. That's not what I meant. Of course it isn't. He pulled the car over abruptly, stopping by a quiet park. He turned to face me, his gaze intense, making me squirm. My mouth felt dry. Why did you apologize earlier? His ears reddened again. You kissed me so suddenly. Took me by surprise. I was flattered. Didn't react fast enough to protect you from his punch. I feel terrible about that. Oh, that? Please. I started it. I dragged you into it. He just kept looking at me, that intense, unreadable gaze making my skin prickle. Finally, he looked away. His voice deceptively casual. I always want to make a good impression. Around you. My brain stuttered. Oh, I understood. Elias. I cut him off quickly before he could say more. Don't. A dry chuckle escaped him. Regrettable timing, he murmured. Then slammed his fist lightly against the steering wheel. The horn blared. Briefly, startlingly loud. He looked back at me, his eyes full of a sudden fierce emotion. Why couldn't I have met you sooner, Ava? Thanks to Elias, the financial separation from Vincent proceeded smoothly, efficiently. Vincent tried to gift me a large diamond. I refused. Offered me a larger share of assets, refused again. I wanted to catch you another firefly, he said wistfully one day. But it's winter now. Can't be helped, I replied softly. He asked me out for a final meal. His assistant inquired about reservations. Somewhere expensive, somewhere good, Vincent instructed. No, I interrupted. Let's go to that place near the village entrance. The hand-pulled noodle place. We used to love it. Haven't been in years. Suddenly feel like going back. Okay, Vincent agreed. The noodles were terrible. Shockingly so. I remembered sneaking money from my parents as a kid, dragging Vince there, thinking it was the most delicious food on earth. Worth the spanking I got later. Now, the broth was greasy, the noodles bland, the tiny restaurant itself dingy and unclean. A typical roadside dive. When had my taste changed so drastically? Halfway through the meal, Vincent gestured vaguely, his voice thick. Can we? I paused, napkin halfway to my lips, and looked at him. You know everything. You know me, he mumbled, his jaw working. If you just said the word, there wouldn't have been any other women. Why did you? Yes, I knew. I knew the bragging at the club was just bravado, empty words born of wounded pride. Our connection ran deep. He cared for me in his way. Vincent was always ambitious, proud, the natural leader since childhood. He'd started small, hustling, building businesses from scratch, lifting not just himself but others from our village out of poverty. Smart, driven, a quick learner. That bankruptcy. It was his only major failure. Losing wasn't the issue. He could handle setbacks, start over. What broke him, what bent that proud spine was me. The incident with Julian. My sacrifice. My shame became his shame. It was an unbearable weight. Every time I was quiet, every time I lingered too long in the shower, I saw the flicker of pain in his eyes. It became the unacknowledged elephant in the room, poisoning everything. Maybe, just maybe, if I hadn't made that choice, but no. Faced with the same circumstances, I'd do it again. For him. I didn't regret saving him. But my presence became a constant reminder of his moment of helplessness. Just like standing by my father's deathbed, watching the life drain out of him, wearing the bright red New Year's dress he'd saved up to buy me, knowing that just a few $1,000s could have saved him, yet being utterly powerless. That helplessness haunts you. Every time I spent a similar amount later in life, the memory would flash back. Vince felt it too. He couldn't look me in the eye properly after Julian. I changed too. Couldn't be the carefree girl anymore. Became quieter, more reserved, poured myself into work. Became cool, rational. The warmth between us chilled. Sunny days felt overcast. I took up smoking. He took up heavy drinking. Silent meals averted gazes. Looking at each other became painful. Time eroded everything but resentment. His affairs started as an outlet, maybe accidental. Later, who knows? Who cared anymore? He hid them. I saw through the charade. His bragging was a defense mechanism against Julian's taunts, against his own shame. Even without the other women, we wouldn't have made it. We ended the moment I stepped into Julian Croft's orbit. The years that followed were just smoke and mirrors, a fragile illusion waiting to shatter. There was no going back. We tried. For years. But the damage was done. Vincent tapped his glass against mine. "I'm sorry, Ava," he mumbled, looking down. "For everything. I owe you more than I can say." "It's okay," I shook my head. "It really is. It was my choice." I met his eyes. "Whatever happened, Vince, thank you. For getting me out. For showing me a different world." I took a breath. "I don't regret it. Not the beginning. You were worth it then." I stood up to leave. He opened his arms, a hesitant invitation for an embrace. I shook my head again. No. For some reason I just couldn't. Snow began to fall as I walked away. Heavy, wet flakes. I didn't look back. Couldn't. Walked for blocks, turning corners aimlessly, the city lights blurring through the swirling snow. My foot caught on uneven pavement. I stumbled, falling face first into a soft drift. The cold stung my cheeks. Suddenly, ridiculously, a motorcycle roared past, blasting a children's song from its oversized speakers. Big brother, let's go catch some eels." And just like that, the dam broke. Memories flooded in. Overwhelming, suffocating. Vince weaving grasshopper cages for me. Vince sharing his candy. Vince holding the umbrella. Vince walking me home. Vince chasing away boys who bothered me. Vince taking my hand, leading me, step by uncertain step, out of that impoverished village into this dazzling, bewildering city. Here amidst the glittering lights, looking back down the snow-covered path, only emptiness remained. "Stop it. Don't look back," I ordered myself fiercely. Work. Need to work. Need to feel numb. My eyes landed on the flashing neon sign. "Tonight bar." I pushed through the door, strode to the bar, ordered the strongest liquor they had. Needed fire. Needed oblivion. The alcohol burned down my throat, searing my insides. My tolerance was low. The room quickly began to swim. I closed my eyes, asking myself, when was the last time I really cried? Just let go? Clamping my hands over my eyes, tears streamed down my face, hot and silent, shattering on the polished bar top. Sometime later, a gentle hand touched my shoulder. I looked up, blinking through the haze. "Elias. Fancy meeting you here," I slurred, attempting a smile. His eyes darkened. "Not fancy. I followed you. I've been right behind you, Ava. All you had to do was turn around." I leaned my cheek against the cool glass, peering up at him through bleary eyes, managing a weak chuckle. Such a young face. For a disorienting moment it blurred, shifted, became Vincent's. The young, hopeful Vincent from the beginning, eyes bright with dreams, radiating confidence. The Vincent who'd wrapped his arm around my shoulders, nuzzled my neck until I giggled, whispering, "You know why I work so hard, Ava? To give you the best life possible." "Okay." I heard myself whisper now, leaning against the bar, looking up at Elias. "Okay." I tried to stand, stumbled, and fell straight into his arms. The night pressed in, silent and heavy. The neon lights outside softened into hazy halos, sticky and vaguely sordid. I woke up in a large, unfamiliar bed. Clean, minimalist design. Wearing a man's oversized white shirt. My head throbbed violently. The elegant chandelier overhead pulsed with light. A modern villa. Panic flared. My mind replayed fragmented scenes from the night before. A handsome man bringing me home. Me, drunk and defiant, grabbing his collar, pulling him down for a messy, desperate kiss. Vince. I'd cried his name. Over and over. In the dreamlike state, I'd sobbed about being lost. Like a child separated from her parents. Like a drowning victim clinging to driftwood. We were so good together, how did we get so lost? Life doesn't offer easy answers. Things happen. Consequences follow. Fate maybe. But the injustice still burned. Why? Why did my brother's spoiled girlfriend get to insult my mother with impunity, while my father died on a straw mat? Why did Julian Croft get to treat me like dirt for a loan that was pocket change to him? Money we intended to repay with high interest within months? Are any of them better than me? More worthy? I'd raged drunkenly, clinging to the man holding me. No, the man holding my collar had replied. His voice calm, steady, his gaze deep. None of them are better than you, Ava. So. His dark eyes held mine. So, Ava, you clawed your way out of that forgotten village. Now your brother is married to a kind woman. Their children growing up loved. Your mother lives comfortably. In a seaside villa. That village? Your investments help build roads, houses, a clinic, a school. It's thriving. You're a respected businesswoman. A philanthropist. That's real progress. I'd hung my head, hair damp with tears, feeling like a pathetic stray. So now girls get to go to school there? No one's buying wives anymore? No one dies because they can't afford a doctor? It's better. Yes, Ava. It's better. My head drooped. But what about me? The question echoed in the sudden silence. All I ever wanted was simple. A small home with Vince, enough food, maybe some pretty clothes, a quiet life. Now, surrounded by the city's glittering sprawl, not a single light felt like it belonged to me. Lost in time, no clear path forward, no comfortable past to return to. Just adrift. Someone has to build the bridge, Ava, the man had said softly. Someone has to bear the scars for the next generation. A harsh laugh escaped me. I fell back against the soft mattress. Clarity, sudden and sharp, pierced through the alcoholic fog. The resentment lessened slightly. Yes, someone has to build the bridge. My children, if I ever had them, wouldn't walk the path I had. What happened next was hazy. Waking up in this shirt. That was the next clear memory. Did I? Oh God. Panic surged. I quickly checked myself. No pain, no suspicious marks. Kidneys still intact. Phew. The delicious aroma of shrimp wafted from the kitchen, making my stomach rumble. A young man emerged, crisp white shirt, black trousers, hair perfectly combed. In his hands, a tray bearing a steaming bowl of seafood congee. Elias. Right. Elias found me. Elias talked to me. Elias brought me here. Relief washed over me. Thank God it was Elias. He smiled brightly. Morning. Go wash up. Some congee will help. I looked down at the shirt, then back at him, my face burning. Elias, last night. Did we? He chuckled. Couldn't be helped, Ava. You were clinging to me like an octopus. What was I supposed to do? Oh. I felt my entire face flush crimson. A cooked octopus. Ava. He leaned closer, his eyes twinkling. Don't tell me you're the type to kiss and run. Oh. How to explain? After a long pause, I decided on honesty. I don't play, Elias. Frankly, I have no idea how to handle this situation. Well, he suggested lightly, we could try dating? No. I frowned. That wouldn't be fair to you. Despite everything, I haven't completely let go of Vincent. I don't mind, he shrugged. Use me to get over him then. Heal. No. Am I not good enough? He gestured around the luxurious villa. Don't think I compare too poorly to Rossi. In any department. I sighed, exasperated. There are so many younger, simpler women out there, Elias. Why me? Younger women are plentiful, he conceded, his expression turning serious. But women with your fire, your courage, your loyalty, Ava? They're practically non-existent. Okay, flattery noted. And appreciated. I managed a small smile. Elias, if I agreed to try. Knowing I don't love you fully, wouldn't that make me terrible? He quirked an eyebrow. Afraid I can't handle it? Don't worry, Ava. I'm tougher than I look. I accept the risks. Middle age brings a certain calmness. Less drama. Dating Elias wasn't like the fraught intensity with Vincent. No need for the constant reassurances, the do you love me? Games young couples play. Honestly, we were both too busy. If it worked, great. If not, move on. Communicate clearly, solve problems rationally. Surprisingly, it did work. We rarely argued. We were compatible. I discovered Elias was wealthier than I'd imagined. A true heir, family money tied up in media, real estate, manufacturing. Law seemed almost a hobby. But I didn't pry. I had my own business to run, employees depending on me. The student I'd sponsored, the daughter of the man who attacked me, graduated, got into a top medical program, became a researcher. During the recent pandemic, she worked tirelessly. I felt immensely proud. Life's trajectory, balanced on such fragile moments. Elias himself was unassuming about his wealth. Drove a modest car to the office, dressed neatly but without obsession over brands. He quietly funded several schools and libraries in underserved areas, never seeking recognition. His generosity made me feel slightly inadequate. I told him so, praising his innate goodness, his youthful idealism. He grew serious. Ava, it's different. I've never known hardship. I had choices. Money means little when you've always had it. But you came from nothing, endured so much, yet you still strive to protect beautiful things. You lifted your entire village. That's real impact. You hope for better, ensure girls get education, improve healthcare. That's profound strength. My purity is simply lack of experience. Yours is resilience forged in fire. If I'd lived your life, I doubt I'd have emerged so whole. I'd likely be far more twisted. I laughed. You paint quite a picture. I'm just someone who's had a tough run. His eyes flickered away. Ava, he murmured, even after everything Vincent put you through, you've never spoken ill of him. Not truly. Few women possess that kind of grace. A familiar pang. Vincent. The name still hurt, but fainter now, dulled by time. One day perhaps it wouldn't hurt at all. I looked forward to that day. No one's purely good or purely evil, Elias. Without him I wouldn't be who I am today. I'd still be stuck in the village. He was good to me for many years. That wasn't fake. I choose to remember that. The past is past. Life's too long to be consumed by bitterness. You have to try to be better. Elias looked at me for a long moment. You're right. But I was using Elias to heal. I admitted it to him. Told him if the day came when I no longer needed the therapy, or simply lost interest, I would leave. No hard feelings, no accusations of callousness. He just smiled, reaching out to gently pat my head. A surprisingly intimate gesture. Ava, he said softly, in any normal relationship, anyone has the right to leave at any time. Julian Croft. A persistent pest. Some entitled heirs are just tedious. Shallow lives, fragile egos, needing constant validation, usually sought through dominating women. He tried undermining my business for years, payback for the times I'd put him in his place. He failed. I was no longer the vulnerable woman he remembered. So he turned his attention to Vincent, knowing Vincent's pride was his weak spot. Vincent, older now, wiser, didn't rise to the bait with fists, but retaliated strategically, costing Julian's company a painful $80 million. Predictably, Julian reverted to his old tactics. Can't hurt the man, hurt his woman. He started pursuing Mia Lin flashy sports car. Expensive gifts at her campus gate, saccharine lines about thinking of you constantly. Mia predictably fell for it. Young girls easily dazzled, mistaking attention for affection. If she just dumped Vincent cleanly, I wouldn't have cared much. Go after what you want, pay the price. But she tried playing both sides, juggling Vincent and Julian, assuming both men were lovesick fools utterly dependent on her. Underestimating people is a dangerous game, especially people forged in the crucibles Vincent and I had endured. Vincent dropped her like a hot potato, handing her over to Julian, which ironically spoiled Julian's victory. He quickly tired of her and moved on. Mia spiraled. Used to a certain lifestyle, she couldn't adjust downwards. Her social media became a pathetic stream of pouting. Selfies captioned with delusional pronouncements about knowing your worth and attracting what you deserve. She bizarrely decided I was somehow sabotaging her prospects. Why would I even care? And came to my office again, causing another scene, accusing me of jealousy. Honestly, I was closing deals, managing staff. Who has time for such petty drama? Why do some young women assume everything revolves around men and romance? Can't a woman have ambition? Build an empire? Change the world even a little? We weren't operating on the same frequency. I had security escort her out. Embarrassing. Julian, meanwhile, still wasn't done. His ego bruised, he escalated his harassment, especially after learning about Elias and me. Turns out, Julian's father served under Elias's father in the military years ago. They knew each other peripherally. At a formal banquet Elias and I attended, Julian cornered us as we were leaving. Elias held my car door open. Julian swaggered over, sneering at Elias. Well, playing chauffeur now? You actually taking this one seriously? Julian had said worse to me over the years. I'd learned to ignore it or deliver a sharp retort. I often pointed out he had no proof of our past encounter, taunting him about his lack of foresight in not recording it. while reminding him recording without consent could land him in prison. But hearing him say it to Elias about me, it hit differently. A sudden sharp pang of humiliation. I froze, hand on the car door, unsure how to react. Elias simply looked up, his gaze coolly assessing Julian. Your wife is the plaything, isn't she, Julian? He paused deliberately. Oh wait, you don't have a wife. Because no respectable woman in our circle would touch you. Remember how many families your father approached? How many times he begged my father to vouch for you? My dad refused, too embarrassing. Only insecure men obsess over meaningless conquests, Julian. Playing with Instagram models doesn't make you important. Paid your debts yet? Julian sputtered, face red, speechless. He mumbled a threat and stalked off. In the car, Elias glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Don't let him get to you, Ava. Everyone knows what he is. But something inside me snapped. I opened the door, stepped out into the cool night air. Elias quickly got out, came around. Ava? What's wrong? My hand shook as I fumbled for a cigarette. It had been months since I'd smoked, not since Elias. But tonight I needed it. I inhaled deeply, the harsh smoke of familiar comfort. He's right, you know, I said, my voice deliberately casual, blowing out a stream of smoke, looking anywhere but at Elias. Everything he says, the rumors, they're true. I slept with him for money. You must have heard. Elias stood frozen for a beat. I forced a laugh, backing away slowly. The autumn wind swirled fallen leaves around my feet. My heart felt like it was caught in the vortex, threatening to shatter. That suffocating feeling, it was back. Again. I closed my eyes, tears escaping, tracing cold paths down my cheeks. I finally understood. I was still trapped. All my perceived peace, my detachment. It was superficial. That shame, that violation. It was a wall I couldn't climb over. And worse, I realized I cared what Elias thought. Deeply. Looking down, I couldn't meet his eyes. This was bad. Very bad. Trying things out, using him to heal. It had backfired. I felt like a snail poking its vulnerable head out, only to retract instantly at the first touch of reality. This shell. I'd be stuck in it forever. Fine. So be it. I forced my lips into a semblance of a smile, shrugged nonchalantly. Well, Elias, you see how it is. Some things can't be fixed. Let's break up. You said it yourself. Accept the risks. His gaze dropped to his shoes. I laughed again, a brittle sound, turned sharply, and started walking away. Before I took 2 steps, a strong hand grabbed my arm, spinning me around, pulling me into a fierce embrace. His face buried in my neck, his breath warm against my skin. It was because of the bankruptcy, wasn't it? He murmured, his voice tight with emotion. I knew it. He held me tighter, as if trying to fuse us together. Ava, I am so sorry. Truly. Back then, I was just one junior administrator on the team. Handled paperwork, creditor lists. I wasn't involved in the restructuring decisions, the negotiations. I didn't know the details of your situation. What Julian demanded, I swear I didn't know. His voice roughened. Ava, I didn't know how desperate things were for you. If I had, I would never have let you face that kind of humiliation. Not from him. I'm so sorry. He pulled back slightly, his fist slamming against the car hood with enough force to leave a dent. I reached out instinctively, grabbing his arm, afraid he'd hurt himself. It's over, Ava, he whispered, pulling me close again. It's all in the past. We'll be okay now. We'll be good. Together. And suddenly, inexplicably, I was crying again. But this time the tears felt different. Like release. Back in Elias's villa. His lips found mine, gentle at first, then deepening. His kiss tasted fresh, clean like lemon trees in summer shade. The faint rasp of his stubble against my chin sent shivers down my spine. My body melted against his. I was still betraying him, in a way. My heart wasn't entirely his. Vincent still occupied a shadowed corner. I knew that. But as Elias's hands traced the curve of my back, as the world narrowed to the space between us, clarity emerged. I saw a long dark road. Vincent stood at the beginning. I walked past him alone. Then, further down, another figure waited. I closed my eyes, letting go of the past, deliberately severing the final threads. No looking back. Elias's fingers tilted my chin up, his kiss becoming demanding, possessive. He bit my lip gently, his breath warm against my skin. Who am I? He murmured, his voice husky. Elias. Louder. My back arched. Elias! I gasped. He seemed satisfied. Later, lying beside me, staring up at the ceiling, he spoke quietly. Don't feel guilty, Ava. I'm not the saint you think I am. Selfishness, ruthlessness, indifference. I have my share. You owe me nothing. Don't feel obligated. He covered his eyes with his forearm. And don't assume you know my past either. Who's to say I wasn't a player before? Breaking hearts left and right. I blinked, processing this. He pinched my cheek playfully. Wake up, Ava. You're not indebted to me. Do you have any idea how beautiful you are? How rare. Any other woman like you. They demand a fortune, property, commitment up front. Rightfully so. Only you would feel guilty. What? So you are just after my body? I blurted out, slightly indignant. He paused, then burst out laughing. Your focus. Is that really what you heard? He grinned. Ah, Ava, you're actually kind of adorable. He leaned closer, his eyes dancing. What's this? Worried I only want you physically? Starting to care? Getting possessive? I pushed his face away gently, unable to suppress a small smile. I knew he was trying to ease my conscience, but his words held a kernel of truth that settled something within me. Men like you, they're rare, Elias. Rare. He scoffed playfully. One of a kind, sweetheart. Honestly, Ava, you worry too much. Heard of dating apps? Casual hookups? People are out there having fun, no strings attached, and you're acting like this is some grand tragedy. If you try to break up with me over this again, I'm definitely not letting you go. So, do I get the villa then? I teased back, feeling lighter. He roared with laughter. Deal. It's yours. Move in tomorrow. Don't like the decor? We'll renovate. Your style. You can be the lady of the manor. I'll just be your resident. I laughed, pushing him playfully. Idiot. He waggled his eyebrows suggestively. That's darling idiot to you. Okay, maybe younger men were rather refreshing. Their uncomplicated energy felt like sunshine on my weary, wrinkled heart, smoothing out the creases. He had a cake delivered later, announcing it was to celebrate our first time. I blushed, then remembered. Wait, what about the night at the bar? His expression soured slightly. Really, Ava? You thought I'd take advantage when you were blackout drunk? What kind of person do you think I am? The housekeeper changed your clothes. Then why did you let me think? A cunning smile spread across his face. He took a slow sip of wine. Because I know you, Ava. Emotionally, you're cautious. You commit fully. But you need a strong hand to lead you. I used your guilt, your sense of obligation to anchor you to me. And he winked. It worked. What? All this time, I was the one being played? A reluctant smile touched my lips. He wrapped his arms around me. See? Told you I wasn't a saint. He rocked me gently. You're trapped now, Ava Sterling. Might as well get used to it. Loving me is your only option. All right. Perhaps this playful confidence wasn't so bad after all. Perhaps it was exactly what I needed. Epilogue. You can't dabble in easy money too early. You shouldn't grasp for things beyond your control. It warps you. Case in point, Mia Lin. Having tasted luxury, she couldn't go back. Her pursuits became solely focused on latching onto wealthy men. Elias, driving his modest car to the office, hadn't registered on her radar initially, despite his looks. After she saw us together, she apparently scoffed behind my back. Old woman buying a boy toy. Mirror check. Definitely not old or haggard. Boy toy? Elias. Amusing. When she somehow discovered Elias's true background, her tactics changed. Suddenly, she was constantly running into him, needing legal advice for fabricated crises, harassment on the bus, creepy stalkers. Always tearful, always vulnerable. Elias, who specialized in corporate mergers, had no time for such nonsense. His assistant quoted her an astronomical hourly rate for non-corporate cases and politely suggested she seek counsel elsewhere. After several failed attempts, she gave up. Her social media shifted again. Defiant posts about female independence and manifesting abundance, paired with heavily edited photos on borrowed yachts. Honestly, I hadn't even been on a yacht yet. Too busy. Her pictures, ironically, made me want a vacation. I started rearranging my schedule, planning a trip for the following month, intending to ask Elias. Then I saw her latest post. 9 photos from the city's most exclusive restaurant. The centerpiece. Mia beaming, flashing a peace sign. practically melting into Elias's side. Elias was smiling too. A polite, neutral smile revealing nothing. My stomach dropped. A cold wave of nothingness washed over me. Suddenly the vacation plans, everything felt pointless. Work. Focus on work. Elias called that evening. I let it go to voicemail. He called my office line. My assistant took the message. Elias says come home for dinner. He made steak. I frowned. Tell him I'm busy. Working late. He didn't call back. Not that night, not the next day. A full week passed in silence. Damn it. Why did that silence feel so loud? What was I even expecting? Fine. So be it. I lit a cigarette, the first in weeks, dismissed my driver, and started walking. Summer night, thick and hot, but I felt cold. This is how it worked with adults, right? Things unsaid, conclusions drawn, quiet dissolutions. No drama. Just emptiness. A few days later, news broke. Blue Ocean Properties was imploding. A newly constructed building collapsed, shoddy materials, cut corners. The timing was disastrous, coinciding with a major national conference hosted in our city. Bad press. Intense scrutiny. Banks panicked, called in their loans immediately. Game over. Julian's father scrambled, trying to secure emergency funding, even getting government mediators involved. It looked like they might just weather the storm. And then Julian himself became the headline. Several women came forward, detailing his predatory behavior. Explicit texts, threats, coercion. The story exploded online. Public outrage surged. Police investigation, swift arrest, indictment. The lawyer providing pro bono support to the victims? A colleague of Elias's, known for taking on powerful abusers. The scandal alone might not have sunk the company, but the final nail in the coffin was an anonymous tip to the tax authorities, complete with irrefutable evidence of massive long-term tax evasion. Public trust evaporated. Major creditors filed for bankruptcy. The court stepped in. The wolves descended. And handling the lucrative Blue Ocean bankruptcy proceedings? Elias Thorne's firm, naturally. His team was becoming the go-to for major corporate dissolutions. Hearing all this, I felt a strange mix of vindication and weariness. Life's chaotic justice. The seeds of destruction, sown in arrogance and greed, eventually sprout. Leaving the office late one evening, my car was blocked by a sleek black Porsche. Thinking it was a dispute, I told my driver to check, but before he could, the driver's door opened. Elias got out, walked to my window, tapped lightly. That same bright, infuriating smile. He reached in, pinched my cheek. Wow, Ava Sterling. You really are cold-blooded. I don't call for a week, and you don't even reach out. I slapped his hand away. He ignored me, continuing his assault on my cheek until I glared daggers. Then he simply opened my door and pulled me out. Despite my struggles, he easily bundled me into his car, tossing me unceremoniously into the back seat. Mr. Wong. Help! I yelled to my bewildered driver. Elias shot Mr. Wong a look halfway between a warning and a conspiratorial wink. Mr. Wong hesitated, then seemed to adopt a not my circus, not my monkey's expression, leaving me to my fate. Elias! I hissed, trying to smooth my disheveled blouse. He leaned into the back, silenced me with a demanding kiss, then casually walked around to the driver's seat. I sat fuming in the back, hair askew, dignity ruffled. He drove me back to his villa. Pulled up, got out, tapped on my window again. Still sulking, Your Majesty? I glowered. You know, he mused, leaning against the doorframe. When you're angry like this, it's kind of exciting. Go on, Ava, he urged playfully. Eat that jealousy up. Stew in it for a few more days. Makes me feel incredibly important. A pause. But, his tone softened. I don't like seeing you upset. Spoils the fun. He opened the door. So I came crawling back to apologize. Brought you a present too. I raised an eyebrow. Don't tell me it's the villa. Please. You deserve better than real estate. My interest piqued. Oh. How's your company's cash flow? Feel like acquiring Blue Ocean's prime assets. My mind instantly clicked into gear. Of course. With Blue Ocean bankrupt, its valuable holdings would be liquidated, auctioned off. A prime opportunity for competitors like us. It would require bidding, I thought aloud. My current reserves might not be enough to swallow the whole thing. Partner with someone, he prompted. Need time. Research potential partners. He grinned slyly. My father has an investment firm, interested in a joint venture. My eyes widened. This changed everything. He held the car door open wider. Ready to come inside now? I shot him one last glare, but followed him into the house. We ate, then spent hours mapping out a strategy for the Blue Ocean acquisition. It was viable. Exciting. I mentally prepared my presentation for the board meeting tomorrow. As I was about to call a car to head home, Elias wrapped his arms around my waist from behind. Still mad. I hesitated. Elias, if you think offering this investment deal somehow cancels out other things, then I don't want it. Business and personal are separate. Okay, cards on the table, he sighed, turning me to face him. Julian's downfall? Yeah, I helped orchestrate that. Fed information, pulled strings. You could say I put him away. Meeting Mia? Purely strategic. Used her gossip, her resentment towards Julian to gather intel. She was useful. I didn't tell you because, honestly, it felt underhanded. And I told you I want to be better in your eyes. But you found out anyway. Silence. Don't ask me why I went after Julian, he preempted. Let's just say I don't like bullies. Besides, if he hadn't actually done those things, nothing I did would have stuck, right? I looked at him, truly looked at him. Then, slowly, I reached up and gently brushed a stray lock of hair from his forehead. He leaned into my touch like a contented cat. All right, I get it, he mumbled into my shoulder. Full disclosure from now on. See how good I'm being. Picked you up, cooked for you. Doesn't Her Majesty think her loyal servant deserves perhaps an overnight stay? A laugh escaped me despite myself. I leaned back, meeting his hopeful gaze. Some things, I said sternly, though my eyes were smiling, you still need to run by me first. Okay, he conceded readily, pulling me closer. My mistake. I promise from now on, there will be no secrets withheld from my VIP. I laughed again, shaking my head, letting him draw me back into the warmth of the house. Mid-July, Elias took me sailing. Just us, the endless blue expanse of the ocean, the sky mirroring its clarity. It felt boundless, peaceful. The Blue Ocean acquisition proceeded remarkably smoothly. Julian received a 13-year sentence. Mia Lin, realizing Elias was unattainable, moved on to her next target. Whatever. Their stories were no longer intertwined with mine. After a month away, I returned to find an exquisite small box waiting for me. Inside, nestled on velvet, was a delicate golden firefly, its wings folded. Looking out my office's floor-to-ceiling window, I saw him standing across the street. Vincent. Hands jammed in his pockets, looking up, his gaze fixed on my window. He looked older, his shoulders slumped slightly, a weariness clinging to him. My heart gave a small, involuntary lurch. But only that. The Blue Ocean tax evasion tip. It had Vincent's fingerprints all over it, likely orchestrated by him. His motives? Revenge? A final act of protection? It didn't matter anymore. I picked up the phone, dialed his number. Vince, I said softly, watching his distant figure. Whatever happens, I hope you find happiness. You too, Ava. You too, he stammered, sounding flustered. A long, awkward silence stretched between us. Strange how after decades together, we now struggled for words. But perhaps the silence had started long before the final break. Some connections, however deep, simply fray beyond repair. We'd missed our chance. He'd spent years showing me through his actions that chasing the past was futile. Is he good to you? Vincent finally asked, the question cliché yet laden with unspoken history. My gaze softened. Yes, Vince. He is. Good. That's good, he repeated, his voice thick with emotion like a child trying to be brave. The door behind me opened softly. Elias entered, carrying takeout containers, my favorite spicy chicken and rice. He instantly assessed the situation, his expression tightening almost imperceptibly. Ah, he said, his voice carefully neutral. Bad timing. No, I replied, ending the call with Vincent and turning to face Elias, offering him a genuine smile. You're right on time. He scowled playfully, wrapping an arm around my waist possessively. You're not allowed to talk to him anymore, understand? Jealous. I teased, looping my arms around his neck, pulling his head down for a long, deliberate kiss. When I finally released him, I traced the line of his jaw. Really, counselor? That's so conventional. My eyes sparkled with mischief as I stepped back, perching on the edge of my desk. Men are competitive creatures, I hear. I let my gaze travel over him slowly, deliberately. The fact that I'm standing here with you, doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? Doesn't that mean, I leaned forward slightly, my voice dropping to a husky whisper, that you're better than any man I've ever known? The possessive scowl vanished, replaced by a slow, spreading grin of pure satisfaction. Chicken? He asked, eagerly opening the containers. Made it myself. Taste it. I leaned in, stealing another quick kiss before taking the offered bite. He pulled me closer, his arm securely around my waist. Sunlight streamed through the window, dappling the floor with shifting patterns of light and shadow. Looking up, the sky outside was vast, clear, and brilliantly blue. The past was silent. The future stretched before us, full of possibility.